Hello and Happy New Year! Welcome back to another episode of the Grow Through It podcast. My name is Julia, and today I will be talking about 28 lessons I've learned throughout my life in honor of just turning 28. First, I wanted to talk a little bit about what led me to do this episode. It was my birthday, and I decided to take myself out on a date since Paul had to work and I'd be seeing my friends in the evening. So I was walking around Indigo looking at books and then to a couple of other stores, and I was reflecting on how far I've come and how much I've grown over the years. Taking myself out on dates and truly developing self-love has been such a blessing for me. I really don't think I would have done that just a few years ago, but I had such a good day just by myself. It got me thinking about all of the things I've gone through and how much I've changed, and it made me want to reflect further. So I decided to do this episode. This brings me to my first lesson. Lesson 1. The only way you can truly be happy is by making yourself happy. You can't rely on anyone else to make you happy. It has to come from within. This took me a long time to realize, honestly. I was always looking for others' validation and wanting them to do things for me that would make me happy. But through solo dating, I've realized I don't need anyone to do those things for me. Of course, it's nice, but if I really want something, why not do it for myself? Anything else is just a bonus. Paul does incredible things for me, but he can't read my mind, and I can't expect him to do everything I want. I started doing these things for myself, and it's truly changed my life. Lesson 2. Be transparent and ask for what you want. Again, no one can read your mind, and if you want something from someone, you have to tell them that. I tell Paul when I want something. For example, I recently let him know I want flowers for my birthday. He probably would have gotten them for me anyways, since he has several times before, but if he didn't, I knew I'd be disappointed, and that's not fair to put that on him. He also gets me incredible birthday gifts, not just flowers, but flowers are important to me, and I let him know that. I told him what I wanted, and I actually felt pretty good to do that. Another example is when I was starting a new job and they offered me a starting wage. Normally, I would just accept it because I would be scared, but I asked for more and I got it. It never hurts to ask for what you want, and it actually shows that you are confident and people respect that. Also, you will be much happier to ask than to expect it and then be disappointed if you don't get it. Lesson 3. You do not need to be single to find self-love. I do think it's good for you to be alone and single for a period of time, but I don't think it's necessary for you to love yourself. This is one idea I was really thinking about. I have found more self-love within the last 2.5 years I've been with Paul than I ever have in my entire life. He really allows me to be myself fully. I don't even think I wanted to be myself even when I was alone previously. I've never been so comfortable and felt so safe with anyone else before. He allowed me to bring out my inner child, and I feel safe to be weird and say what's on my mind and just be my true, authentic self with him. Obviously, you can do this when you're single too, but it's not necessary. You can be in a relationship and learn so much about yourself and learn to love yourself. Lesson 4. Think for yourself always. I've learned over the last couple years especially how much influence media and your peers have on your thoughts. I think it can be easier to just go with what everyone else seems to think, but thinking for yourself is so important. Really thinking critically about how you feel about the information you just learned, doing your own unbiased research, thinking about whether or not the information you just heard actually makes sense or not. This really has helped me listen to myself more and make decisions that are best for me, not what society deems to be best. Lesson 5. No is a complete sentence. It took me many years to learn that it is okay to say no and you don't have to explain why to anyone. This is something I very much advocate for because I feel like many young women especially don't realize is abusive and unhealthy for your partner to not respect your no. You should never have to explain your no or say no more than once to your partner or anyone. If they don't respect it, they don't respect you, and you should consider distancing yourself from them. Lesson 6. Food is fuel. I have struggled for many years with my eating habits and relationship with food, but I've really learned the last couple years what food actually does to and for your body. Choosing the right foods can be life-changing to your physical and mental health. Prioritizing protein, reducing sugar, not eating out, eating fruits and vegetables. It all sounds very obvious, but it can truly change your life. I think working with kids has really helped me with this thinking. I always preach to the kids I coach that they need to eat enough at snack time or before and after training because it's essential for their energy levels and recovery. But I never thought that way for myself. I came to realize I need to take my own advice. Lesson 7. My trauma is not my fault. I do still struggle with this sometimes, blaming myself for things that happened, but I know in my heart that it was never my fault. I was literally a child when a lot of this stuff happened, and I didn't know any better. Even as an adult going through trauma, I still didn't have the knowledge or strength at the time to stand up for myself or know things weren't okay, and that's okay. We all are constantly learning and growing, and we won't know everything right away. What I went through was absolutely not my fault, but it is my responsibility to heal myself and learn from those experiences. Lesson 8. Budgeting is essential. I used to roll my eyes at my mom for trying to get me to budget, and I never really took it seriously. But since I started budgeting for real and keeping up with it, I can see how much money I would have wasted if I didn't do that. It has helped me pay off debt and keep up with my expenses, something I really struggled with before. So if you are struggling financially, I would highly recommend a budget. I use the app YNAB, which is called You Need a Budget. It makes things so easy. Lesson 9. Listen to your body and only do it if you really want to. I mentioned this in a previous episode. At the Women's Festival I went to over the summer, I learned about your sacred no and listening to what your body wants. I learned how to really feel inside my body whether or not I wanted something or wanted to do something. I think since that was taken away from me for so many years, I didn't really know how to do this. This would lead me to doing things I didn't really want to do or impulse buying. Now I really think about what I want and literally feel it inside my body. Is this a hell yes? If not, it's a no. Lesson 10. No one cares. This doesn't mean no one cares about you, but no one really cares what you're doing. If people are judging you for trying something different, they are just jealous because they don't have the courage to go for it. Do what you want and never worry about what anyone else thinks of you. Most of the time, no one is actually paying attention. You think about yourself a lot more than anyone else does. Lesson 11. The judgments you think people are making about you are just a projection of your own judgments on yourself. I learned this from 101 Essays That Will Change the Way You Think by Brianna Wiest, and it honestly has changed my whole perspective. Most of the time, no one is judging you. If they are, what does that say about them? But most of the time, the way you think people are thinking about you is how you actually feel about yourself, and it's time to do inner work to stop judging yourself. Lesson 12. Comfort is a killer. I think people get stuck in their lives. They are comfortable with their little life of going to work, watching TV, being with their significant other. But I think people often forget to ask themselves if they're actually happy. Or are they just scared to make a change or think they aren't capable of it? I was stuck in this too for a very long time. I was comfortable with my relationship, and it was terrifying thinking about what life would be like without him. I had a house, dogs, a good job, and was with someone I thought I was going to marry. But I was also constantly anxious and depressed, and I hated my life. I got uncomfortable and changed all of those things, and it was the best decision I ever made for myself. Lesson 13. Always find the silver lining. I've talked about this one lots before on the podcast, but it is so important. Everyone will go through hard times, and things will always happen that are not ideal or even traumatic. Of course, when these things happen, you should feel the feelings and do what you have to do, but you also have to find the bright side of things. It may not be right away, but it can be. Ask yourself, what lesson can I learn from this? How will this change me in a positive way? What other plans may God or the universe have for me? This really will change your mood and how you deal with things, and you will feel so much better. I could be super bitter about everything that has happened to me, but those things will keep coming up until I learn the lesson. I'll also be super unhappy being bitter, and that doesn't help anyone. Lesson 14. You are responsible for your own life. Before my accident, I was a little naive and just blindly trusted other people on the road and always thought that my guardian angels and God would always protect me. I realize now how naive that was. Yes, you should trust in the universe or God or whatever you believe in, but you also have to take responsibility and know that you are in control of your own life and it's up to you what happens. Lesson 15. My body is capable of anything. I've also mentioned this one a couple times on the podcast. Paul has really helped me with this, and reading personal development books and listening to certain people has also really helped. I always made excuses not to do things because I didn't think I was capable. But I know now that I truly am capable of anything I put my mind to, and the body is an incredible thing. We as humans are capable of so much more than we think. Reading Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins really opened my eyes to this, to hear about all the things he did that I would have thought were impossible. Lesson 16. Make the most with the time you have with other people. You really never know what could happen, and it's so important to spend time with the people you love and not take your time for granted. My accident really opened my eyes to this because it could have been a lot worse. Lesson 17. I can do hard things. We truly are capable of so much, and I have done extremely hard things in the last couple of years. Leaving my long-term relationship, moving and living on my own, moving to a different province away from my family, switching careers, ending friendships, doing 75 hard, doing hikes I didn't think I was capable of. I have proved to myself time and time again that I am so capable, and I know I will keep seeing this throughout my life. Lesson 18. No one is living your life but you. If people are trying to influence your decisions or telling you to not pursue something you want to try, why are you listening to them? They are not the ones living your life, and you know what's best for you. I've learned to choose myself over what others think I should do, and this will always be the most beneficial thing to do. If it works out, I'll be so happy, and if it doesn't, that's my choice to make. Lesson 19. It's never too late to change your mind. I have said this several times before on this podcast, but it's something I am so passionate about. So many people think once you live with someone, or once you're engaged or married, or once you go to school and choose a career, that is now your life and you can't change your mind. But you absolutely can. It doesn't matter if you're 25 or 75, you can 100% change your mind. So many people thought I was crazy for breaking off my engagement because we had been together for so long and already planned our wedding. We sent out invitations, paid deposits on all of our vendors, I bought my dress, but it was not at all too late, and leaving was the best decision I ever made. If you think it's too late for you, it is absolutely not. Lesson 20. The only thing you can control is your reaction. So many of the things that happen in your life are out of your control. The only thing you can truly control is how you react. You can choose to be positive about it and find the silver lining, or you can choose to be angry or upset about it. Like I said before, it is completely valid to be upset about some things, but choosing positivity when you can is life-changing. Also, making sure not to sit in the negativity too long. Lesson 21. It is not normal to feel anxious around your partner. This seems obvious, but it was the norm for me for so long that I didn't even realize. It was also a gradual thing, but if you feel anxious around your partner or feel unsafe to express your feelings or even just be yourself, that is not okay. You have to figure out why you feel this way, and chances are if you're feeling like that, they are not the person for you. Lesson 22. It is not normal for your partner to control your decisions. Your partner should not make decisions for you or manipulate you into making a decision that benefits them. Again, this seems obvious, but when you're in something like this, it's not always clear. But if your partner is controlling your finances, friendships, career, or anything else, it's not normal or okay. Of course, it's okay to have conversations about these things, especially if you share finances or it impacts them, but ultimately, it is your decision what you do. I was not allowed to get my nails done, talk to certain people, and I was told what job I should do. I let some of this slide, but I did stand up for myself in some circumstances. My job was a non-negotiable for me because I've always really stood my ground on the fact that I do not work just to make money. I have to like what I do. But some of the other stuff I did let control me. But I've realized this is not okay, and if your partner respects you, they won't do this to you. Lesson 23. Figuring out why you are the way you are is the first step to change it. Once I started going to therapy, I started to uncover how my past has affected me and how that shows up today. I figured out why I do certain things, why I react a certain way, and why I have certain fears. It all comes from somewhere, and once I found out why I was the way I was, I could start to change those behaviors. Lesson 24. You have to advocate for yourself. This again goes for all aspects of your life. At work, you have to advocate for yourself and stand up for yourself if you are not being treated the way you should be. If you're asked to do something that makes you feel unsafe, you have to stand up for yourself and set those boundaries. When you go to the doctor, you have to advocate for yourself. You know how many people I know that have gone to the doctor about a problem they were having just to be turned away and then later found out it was something much worse? When I hurt my wrist years ago, it took 2 doctors just to give me an x-ray and several doctors just to figure out that I actually had torn a ligament and needed surgery. But no one took me seriously, but I kept insisting something was wrong. They at first told my dad his back pain was nothing, just for us to find out later it was cancer. There are so many stories like this. If you know in your gut that something is wrong, keep pushing until someone takes you seriously. It's very frustrating that we have to do this, but it is a reality. Lesson 25. Choose discipline over motivation. Motivation will work short term, but it will not last. You have to become disciplined if you want to change your habits and improve your life. You are fully capable of developing discipline even if you don't believe it. Discipline really is key if you want to see change. Lesson 26. Your dream life can be a reality. When I was in my toxic relationship, I always wondered if there would be someone out there that would treat me right, or if the movies were just a lie. It wasn't until I met my friend group and saw how the men treated women that I realized what I could have. Then, of course, I met Paul, and honestly, I never thought I would find someone like him. I am so grateful I did not settle for less than I deserve because I have found the most amazing man I have ever met. This also goes for other aspects of your life. If you want it, you can have it. You just have to believe in yourself and not settle. Lesson 27. People need to learn for themselves. I often wondered what I would have done if people told me sooner that they did not like my ex and didn't think he treated me right. At first, I was angry because I thought maybe I would have left sooner had I realized. But I know now it probably would have just ruined my relationships with other people because I would have defended him. My mom actually did say a few things and I always defended him. I had to see it for myself to make the change. I know of other people in toxic relationships or toxic situations at work, and I tell them my opinion gently and offer guidance and support, but ultimately, people have to learn for themselves and make that decision for themselves. You can go blue in the face explaining to them how you feel, but you have to just let it go. Of course, you can encourage them to get out and help where you can, but in my experience, most of the time, they really do need to see it for themselves to actually realize what's going on. When you're in a toxic situation, you can be really blinded about how bad it is. Show them how good it can be instead. That is how I got out of my situations. I saw the potential for a better life. Lesson 28. Don't hold back. If you are passionate about something or have a big dream, you have to just go for it. Do it scared and don't hold back. If you don't try, you will regret it. If you do try, best case scenario, it works out, and worst case, it doesn't, but you tried anyway and you learned and you won't always wonder what if. But even if it doesn't work out, you are courageous enough to go for it, and that will build your confidence and resilience, and you will learn how to do it better or different next time. I always think when I am on my deathbed, will it matter if someone made fun of me or if I failed at something? Or will it matter what impact I made and whether or not I pursued my passion? I want to be at the end of my life with no regrets. I want to live life authentically and be happy with the choices I made. I don't want to wonder what if. I don't want to live a mundane life because I was afraid. I want to be brave and reach heights I never even imagined. That is living your best life. So those are the 28 lessons that I have learned in my 28 years on Earth. I know I will continue to learn so many lessons as I go through life, and I'm excited to learn them. It feels like I unlock a new level every time I learn something or overcome a challenge. I think it's so important to be excited about change and growth because that is the only way you're going to get better. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you have any questions or feedback for me, please don't hesitate to reach out. I would love to chat with you. You can find me on Instagram at growthroughit.pod. If you enjoyed this episode, I would be so grateful if you would rate and review this podcast and share it with someone you think would benefit from it. Thank you so much for listening, and remember that you are worthy. See you next time.